Hey guys, it's Caitlin and today I'm back with another book talk. Now considering my read with me that I tried a month or so ago lasted 40 minutes, I kind of figured that I might just go back to a regular book talk. So the book that is in discussion today is the Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. This is the one that I smacked myself in the face with when I did my skit the other week. If you don't know what the Bane Chronicles is about, I'll just give a really quick non-spoiler summary for those of you who haven't read it yet. So essentially, it is just telling quite a few stories from Magnus Bane's life before he's introduced to the characters at the New York Institute in the Mortal Instruments series. So some of the stories start in the 1700s and they continue through to the early 2000s when they first meet Alec, Clary, Jason, like the whole gang from the Mortal Instruments series. There are some snippets with Will and Tessa, as well as some with like Ragnar Fell and Katarina Loss. So it's just kind of Magnus's life throughout the years, as well as how he came to know and become friends with certain characters. So there are 11 short stories within this collection. You've got What Really Happened in Peru, The Runaway Queen, Vampires, Scones and Edmund Herondale, The Midnight Air, The Rise of the Hotel Dumont, Saving Rafael Santiago, The Fall of the Hotel Dumont, What to Buy the Shadow Hunter Who Has Everything and Who You're Not Officially Dating Anyway, The Last Stand of the New York Institute, The Course of True Love and First Dates, and The Voicemail of Magnus Bane. Alright, so now I am going to be delving into the spoiler section of this review, so if you haven't read the video and you don't want to be spoiled, you should probably click off now, and if you don't give a shit about being spoiled about this book, feel free to continue watching. I started reading this book on the 21st of April and I finished it on the 11th of May. And I don't know about you guys, but for me that's actually a really long time to take reading one book. Normally I finish it in a few days, a week at max. So just a little bit of like an overall feeling of how this book went for me. I was rather disappointed. I love Cassandra Clare's other work. I loved The Mortal Instruments and I loved The Infernal Devices. I haven't really read The Dark Artifices yet. I'm going to be delving into that next. I was so excited to read the Bane Chronicles because I friggin' loved Magnus in the other series, and I've just thought like, oh my god, there's a whole book dedicated to Magnus's point of views and like stories about his character, so of course I am going to read it. And I didn't look at any of the reviews though before I read it, because as soon as I finished and I went to add my own review, I saw that quite a lot of people have actually rated it a lot lower than I would have expected. And if I had have read some of the reviews before I'd read it myself, then maybe I would have like braced myself and I wouldn't have been so disappointed with what I actually did read. So the way that I organized my notes is just kind of by short story. I figure instead of talking about random parts of it, I'll just go in order. So the first short story, like I said, is What Really Happened in Peru, and all I have to say is it's fucking clickbait. Okay, I know it can't really be clickbait if it's a book, but seriously, you can't call a book What Really Happened in Peru and then not tell us what really happened in Peru, because you go through all these different stories about the times that Magnus has been there with Ragnar and Katarina, and it's like, all this shit happened. But surprisingly, that was not the reason Magnus got banned from Peru, and that happens about 4 or 5 times over until the very end of it, when it says, after all this time, Magnus still doesn't know why he was banned from Peru. And I'm just like, no, like, you can't do that. Number 2, The Runaway Queen. Why the hell was that necessary? I mean, surprisingly for me, I actually understood some of the French Revolution references because I did history revolutions in year 12 last year, but even still that, no. It was just, And then he let Axel die? Like, that was a very short-lived romance, if it even was a romance at all. Like, I don't even know what happened there. Let's just move on from that. Number 3, Vampires, Scones and Edmund Herondale. This is where we first meet Camille, as well as Edmund, who is William's father. And I'm just gonna say, Camille actually seems relatively normal and quite likable in this short story, but I still hate it. I guess it was kind of interesting to see how her and Magnus first met, but I still don't give a shit. I think the one part that I was interested in with this short story is actually why Edmund turned out to be the way that he was, because we knew like a vague backstory of what Will had told us and what we'd found out during the Infernal Devices, but we didn't actually know for certain what had really happened, and we didn't know the details behind it. So I guess that was one good thing. Alright, number 4, The Midnight Air. The only thing that this story actually like achieved for me was getting me intrigued as to the new series that's coming out with the Herondale, Lightwood and the Carstairs children. I'm not sure where I read it, but there's going to be kind of like another thing with the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices. The only thing that this little short story really got me interested in is reading that next prequel series as to what happened there, because we did get to meet James Herondale. I've always hated Tatiana Blackthorne. She was always such a pain in the ass. This story just made me hate her even more, and now it makes me hate her daughter Grace too, because she just seems like a stuck-up little bitch who I want to punch in the face. The Rise of the Hotel Dumont. Wait, is that actually number 5? So let's just say I don't actually really have any notes for this because I didn't read it. I skimmed it and I still kind of have a vague recollection of what happened. It was kind of pointless in my eyes. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, I feel like there were quite a few of these short stories that could have been left out and we would have suffered no losses in regards to information. I feel like she had a deadline, or maybe she had a word count and she wanted to meet that. In doing so, she just pulled out a bunch of useless bullshit that nobody really cares about, and that's what I just read. Number 6, Saving Rafael Santiago. This was probably the one story that I actually enjoyed somewhat. There were still parts of it where I was just thinking, I really don't need to know this. You could cut out so many sections of these short stories and just have it as like a novella of sorts instead of it being a full novel. I think mainly the only reason that I like this is because of how much of a smartass and an arrogant prick Raphael is, and that just made it very entertaining to read. I do love Raphael's character. I know that we don't really get to see too much of like his personality and everything in the Mortal Instruments, but in the Shadowhunters TV show, which I know is something completely different, so please excuse my mingling the two of them, I do like his character better in that TV show because I feel like we get to connect with him more, and I feel like they are trying to keep his backstory relatively similar. It's something that I did appreciate, getting to actually read what happened to him and how he actually became a vampire in the first place. Number 7 was The Fall of the Hotel Dumont, and I just skimmed this one again. I didn't care. You've got this whole story of everything that happened to Camille and how those vampires just completely like fell apart. And then at the very end of it, Magnus goes to Katerina and says, "Can you erase my memories?" So I don't remember what just happened. I'm like, what was the point of that story if Magnus doesn't even remember it? Number 8, What to Buy the Shadowhunter Who Has Everything and Who You're Not Officially Dating Anyway. I think my favorite part about this story was the bloody demon that Magnus summoned. He just goes on about how, do people still listen to Fleetwood Mac? I love the Mac, and then starts singing a Fleetwood Mac song. I did like a bit of the humor, and I did like a bit more of an insight into Alec and Magnus's relationship. Number 9, The Last Stand at the New York Institute. I actually wrote in my notes, at this point in time, I don't think this book can be redeemed in my eyes. Honestly, just fuck Valentine. Fuck the Circle. They killed an entire family of Shadowhunters and they still thought that they were the good guys and they still thought that they were doing the right thing. I know that later on in the series everyone starts to realize how wrong they were in following Valentine, but it still happened and it was still a thing. And reading how blindly they followed him honestly made me want to hit something. I did actually like the Magnus and Tessa scene where they got to see Clary as like a baby for the first time, and where Jocelyn comes up with the last name Frey, but at the same time that was like 5 pages out of this whole thing that I actually enjoyed. Alright, The Course of True Love and First Dates. That is probably the one short story in this whole collection that I actually read from start to finish. I loved seeing their first date. It was so real even though it went so terribly at the beginning. I do enjoy that we get to see a whole new side to Alec and the kiss. And number 11, Lucky Last, The Voicemail of Magnus Bane. Why was this necessary? So this point of view took place after a certain event in City of Lost Souls. I don't need to read every single point of view, like every single phone call. So, Bane Chronicles. Overall, I was really disappointed considering how much I loved Cassandra Clare's other series. I just felt that it was unnecessary and it was way too long. It probably could have just been a novella. Like, look at the size of this. This is a Quarter Frost and Starlight. So overall, I did give this a 3 stars on Goodreads. I think I wrote that I gave it a 3.5, but I take it back. It's a 3. I'm really not happy with it. Anyway, that was my review of the Bane Chronicles. I'm now on to reading Tales from Shadowhunter Academy, and then I'll be delving into the Dark Artificers series, which I'm so excited to read because I actually love reading about like Emma and Julian and all the Blackthorn kids, and it's like, I'm excited. Thanks for watching. I did hope you enjoy it. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and also hit that subscribe button down below if you do want to see some more content. Thanks for watching. I'm Caitlin, and I'll see you next week.